Hi everyone, I'm Sizzle, a single mother to a beautiful son. My story might sound tragic at first, but I assure you that justice prevailed in the end. This tale involves my husband Ethan, his mother, Marie, and his grandfather, Ace. These names are fictional since they belong to a very wealthy family and could easily be recognized. I mean no harm in keeping our real identities private. I believed Ethan and I were in love during our 3 years of dating in college. I saw him as my soulmate. He was a true gentleman and did everything right. Naturally, I fell deeply in love and married him after his proposal. Everyone seemed happy except for his mother, Marie. She couldn't stand me even before the wedding. She would say things like, "You will never be good enough for my son. You don't know what you're talking about, Marie. Ethan loves me, and that's why he's marrying me. Oh, please, don't try to tell me what he's doing. I know my son well. He will never be happy with a low-class girl like you. He hates cheap things, and you're one of them. Your marriage won't last. Believe me, I will celebrate when he divorces you." Marie's disdain was clear because I wasn't wealthy like them. Only her father, Ace, was rich, serving as the family patriarch and supporting their lifestyle. Ethan worked, but his salary alone wasn't enough for a luxurious life. It was Ace's extra allowance that enabled it. I came from a struggling background and succeeded through hard work, securing a good job. I wasn't a gold digger and preferred a simple life, even when Ethan and Marie tried to make me conform to their way of living. I should have realized that these differences might doom our marriage, but I was too naive. I trusted that my husband's love would bring me happiness after a life of hardships. Ethan's care deeply affected me. He did everything to ensure I had a good life and went out of his way to keep me happy. Ace, too, was a wonderful grandfather, insisting I call him Grandpa. Ace was fond of me from the very first day we met, so Marie's hatred never caused problems in our marriage. Both Ace and Ethan consistently stood up for me. I had no idea how horribly things would eventually turn out. Ethan was eager for us to start a family, and wanting to make him happy, I agreed. At his insistence, I even quit my job to stay home and care for our child. Though initially reluctant, my feelings changed the moment I discovered I was pregnant. I was determined to do my best for our son. He remains the best thing that came out of my marriage. I still remember the joy of holding him for the first time, thrilled to start our new life together. But everything changed for the worse as soon as I stepped back into our home. Marie took my son from me just as I returned from the hospital, still weak and recovering. This sudden, confusing turn of events left me reeling. As I tried to understand what was happening, I saw Ethan throwing 3 packed suitcases at me. "What is going on? What are you doing?" I asked, bewildered. "What do you think we're doing, Cecil? Your time is up. You need to leave the house," Ethan replied coldly. "Wait, what? What are you talking about, Ethan? What's happening?" I pleaded, desperately trying to understand. "We're kicking you out, and I'll be divorcing you very soon. That's what's happening, Cecil. Did you really expect me to put you on a pedestal and worship you for the rest of my life? Why are you being so cruel? What's happening? Why are you doing this?" I cried out in shock and disbelief. "You have served your purpose," Ethan said, his words cutting deep. "We don't need you anymore, so take your trash and get out." "You have to be kidding me, right? Marie, you can't do this to me." "Ethan, why are you doing this? What's going on?" I pleaded, my voice shaking. "Didn't you hear my mother, Cecil? You've already given birth to my baby, so I have my heir. I don't need you anymore. I'll be divorcing you at the first chance I get," Ethan said, his words slicing through me like a knife. I felt like I was in a horror movie. The man I had married was now a stranger, cold and unrecognizable. I shook with anxiety, overwhelmed by their cruelty, my emotions still raw and my hormones in turmoil after the birth. Marie's voice cut through my sobs. "The housekeeper has packed your clothes so you won't taint this house with your presence any longer. My sweet grandson will be raised with the finest care and soon forget about his cheap mother." "That's impossible. I will never leave my son behind. If you want me out of your lives, I will go. But I won't abandon my child," I cried out, desperation lacing my words. "By all means, Cecil, leave. Who said we want you to stay? We're telling you to go. You have no choice," Marie retorted, her words dripping with disdain. My heart was shattered from Ethan's betrayal. Marie's animosity had always been clear, but I had dismissed it as jealousy. Her sudden interest in me after I got pregnant had seemed suspicious, but I had never imagined it would come to this. I couldn't fathom why Ethan, the man who once loved me, was acting this way. My mind struggled to accept that he didn't love me anymore. Tears streamed down my face as I looked at Ethan. How can you be so cold to me, Ethan? Don't you feel anything kicking the mother of your child out of your house? My child won't need a mother. Like Mom said, we have plenty of staff around the house, he replied, his words void of any warmth or humanity. Who will help my son grow up to be like me, Ethan? You want to take him away from his own mother? Do you really think he'll have a great life without me? Our son needs his mom, I pleaded, my voice trembling with desperation. Ethan laughed, a cold, heartless sound that shattered my already breaking heart. I stood there, frozen, unable to believe what was happening. The man I had loved was disappearing, replaced by a monster who cared nothing for me or our child. When Ethan finally stopped laughing, he sneered, "What makes you think my son needs you? He's just a newborn. He doesn't even know who you are. We can hire plenty of wet nurses and nannies to ensure he grows up well." "My son is right," Marie added with a smirk. "My grandson will have everything he needs. You're the last person fit to raise him. You're a low-class woman who can't even dress herself properly. If I left my grandson in your care, he'd turn out to be a loser." "Oh, how embarrassing you've been all these years. I'd rather die than see my son suffer the humiliation I endured because of you." Ethan's words dripped with disdain as if he regretted every moment he had spent with me. His eyes were filled with contempt, and his voice carried the weight of years of annoyance and regret. Shaking, I could hardly find the words to respond. Tears streamed down my face as I choked out, "Did I humiliate and embarrass you? How?" "Do you really want to know how you embarrassed and humiliated me?" Ethan retorted, his voice filled with venom. "Just look at you, Cecil. You come from a low-class family and used to work a 9-to-5 job like some broke woman." I needed to hear those words to finally see Ethan for who he truly was. As painful as it was, his cruel honesty exposed the depth of his contempt. "You were never suited for an upper-class family like ours. Mom tried so hard to teach you her ways, but you didn't even want to learn anything," Ethan scoffed. "Wait, so you wanted me to become a rich snob? If I was such an embarrassment, why did you even fall in love with me?" "Who said I fell in love with you, Cecil?" Ethan sneered. "You were beautiful, so I thought maybe I could groom you into a nice trophy wife. But your cheap habits never went away." "In that case, why didn't you just leave?" I asked, hurt and bewildered. "I would have dumped you after having some fun, but then Grandpa liked you. He wanted us to get married and have kids. If I'd walked away, Grandpa would have been furious, and I'd have lost his support. That's why I married you. Now that you've given me the grandson I wanted, I have no use for you anymore." So that was it. Ethan had married me because Ace wanted me as his granddaughter-in-law. Ethan feared that if he left me without reason, Ace would cut off his allowance and inheritance. To stay in Ace's good graces, he married me. Ethan's insistence on having a child suddenly made sense. He wanted an heir to secure Ace's fortune. I had naively complied, and now I was suffering the consequences. This was all part of Ethan and Marie's twisted plans. Ethan had never loved me. He had only wanted to use me for his benefit. The man I married wasn't my soulmate. He was a manipulator. Disgusted, I said, "So that's what this was all about. You just wanted your grandfather's fortune and used me to get on Ace's good side. You destroyed my life just for that." "Who cares about your life, Sizzle?" Ethan replied coldly. "As far as we're concerned, you have no relationship with us anymore. I'm still the mother of your grandson and married to your son, Murray. You can't end relationships in a day." "We're already working on that, Cecil. You don't have to worry about it," Marie said, her voice dripping with contempt. "Our best lawyers are handling your divorce and the termination of your rights to my grandson." "I will never let that happen, Marie. I don't care if Ethan divorces me. My love for him is already gone. I won't stay with someone who doesn't love me. But if you think I'll give up my child, you're both dead wrong." "What can you do, Cecil?" Marie sneered. "We'll get the best lawyers and trap you neatly. Don't worry, we'll even offer you some good money to disappear. We'll compensate you with what we think is reasonable. Cooperate, or we'll make your life a living disaster." Their threats ignited a burning rage inside me, replacing my heartbreak with fury. I looked at them, their faces smug and confident. Marie still held my newborn son, and I knew asking for him back wouldn't work. She had more people on her side, and I was too weak to fight. I didn't want to risk my son's safety by trying to snatch him away. Instead, I took a deep breath and spoke calmly. "You want me out of the house? Fine, I'll leave. I'll go right now. But I will not let you take my son from me." "We'll see what you can do, Cecil," Ethan said with a smirk. Once people or lawyers know who they're dealing with, no one will be on your side. I don't need lawyers for what I have planned, Marie. I promise you right now that you and Ethan will pay for what you've done to me today. This is not the end. Oh, please, Marie scoffed. Save your ridiculous threats for someone else, Cecil. You can't touch us. We will crush you anytime. We also there's no use going to Grandpa about this. Blood is thicker than water, and he will side with his family over anyone else. He always has. I didn't bother to grace them with a reply. They simply didn't deserve one from me. I refused to stand there and waste my time while Marie and Ethan made fun of me and threatened me. It wasn't my style to threaten or yell at people. Mentally and physically exhausted and worried about my child, I needed to conserve my energy to deal with them later. So, I quietly collected my bags and left the house. Marie and Ethan actually followed me, ensuring I had truly left. They didn't need to worry. I had no interest in staying around for their insults. My skin crawled with their words. I called an Uber and left. From the window, I saw Ethan and Marie hugging and giggling as if it was the best day of their lives. They got what they wanted, an heir and rid of me, just as they had planned. However, they didn't know I wouldn't leave so easily. I wasn't giving up my son, and I intended to teach them a lesson. While Ethan came from a wealthy family with powerful lawyers, I didn't have much money or resources. My chances of winning against them were slim to none. I knew I needed help, and Ace was my only option. I went straight to Ace's house with my belongings, feeling a twinge of nervousness. Ethan's words echoed in my head, reminding me of Ace's loyalty to his family. There was a small fear that he might turn me away in favor of them. After all, I felt like the nobody Marie and Ethan had always said I was. Still, I held on to hope that Ace at least would do the right thing. And I wasn't disappointed. When Ace entered the living room and spotted me with my suitcases, he seemed genuinely surprised. I thought my staff was joking when they said you showed up here with suitcases. I can see they were serious, he remarked. Well, they certainly were joking. I'm here, Grandpa, I replied, trying to hold back tears. What's going on, Cecil? Have you been crying? Your eyes look puffy and you really don't look well, Ace observed. They kicked me out of the house, Grandpa, and they took my son, telling me to get out of their lives, I explained, my voice quivering with emotion. Ace's expression darkened with anger. Who did this? Tell me everything right now, Cecily. As I recounted the events, I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. Despite trying to stay composed in front of Ethan and Marie, the truth was too much to bear. My life was unraveling, and everything I thought I knew about my marriage was a lie. Despite my love for Ethan, his betrayal had shattered me. Sitting on Ace's couch, I poured my heart out to him. He listened with concern, his anger matching mine as I recounted the injustices I had faced. After I had calmed down a little, I explained, I came here because I didn't know where else to go, Grandpa. You've always been kind to me, and I knew you would at least offer me temporary shelter. You did the right thing by coming here, Cecily. You can stay as long as you want. This is not just temporary shelter. This is also one of your homes, Ace reassured me. I don't think I have a home anymore, Grandpa. I don't even care about that. I just want my son back. I can't be without him. I'll leave Ethan like he wants me to, but I can't leave my son, I confessed. So, you decided to leave Ethan. Is that what you want to do? Ace inquired. I can't stay with him anymore, I replied firmly. Grandpa, he showed me his true colors, and I know he's not the man I loved. Our entire marriage was a lie. I think I've lost all the love I had for him, I confessed, my voice trembling with pain. My grandson has messed up big time, Cecil. I don't know how to apologize to you for this. What he and my daughter have done is not okay. Actually, I think it would be better for you to leave him, Ace admitted, his disappointment evident. I am willing to do that, Ace, but Ethan and Marie want me to terminate my rights to my kid. I don't want that, Ace. Please don't ask me to do that, I pleaded, fearing his response. I was terrified that Ace would side with Ethan and Marie on this matter. While he didn't push me to stay with Ethan, which I was grateful for, I worried he might not support my decision to take his great-grandson and leave. However, Ace's next words surprised me. I will never ask you to give up my great-grandson, Cecil. You are his mother, and he needs you in his life. What he doesn't need is an evil father and grandmother like Ethan and Marie, Ace declared passionately. Oh God, the things they have told you and what they have done to you are horrible. I don't know what to do, Grandpa, I admitted, feeling overwhelmed. My dear Cecily, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm here for you and my grandson. I will never separate a mother from her son. Ethan and Marie will pay for what they have done, Ace assured me, his voice filled with determination. Really? You'll take my side over them, Grandpa? They're your family, and like they said, blood is thicker than water. You always put your family above everyone else. That's what I liked about you, I said, surprised by his unwavering support. That's some nonsense, Cecily. If Ethan and Marie are my family, you and my grandson are too, Ace replied firmly, leaving no room for doubt. I gave you the mission to call me Grandpa instead of my name because you are family to me. At the end of the day, I won't tolerate anyone being so cruel and vile, even if they are my own family. So Marie and Ethan are going down, no matter what. Ace's kindness brought tears to my eyes, but in a good way. I was truly fortunate to have Ace as my grandpa. He filled a little hole in my chest that was there because I never met my own grandparents. I will always be grateful to Ace for what he did for me. He was furious and promised me justice. Quickly, he called his staff and made a few phone calls. Meanwhile, Ace's housekeeper stayed with me, ensuring I had food and was all right. It was ironic that an unknown woman was showing me more compassion than my own husband and mother-in-law. I hated myself for falling in love with a man like that. After a while, Ace returned to the living room and asked me to come with him. In the car, he shared his plan for Ethan and Marie. It was glorious, and I couldn't help but feel a little sorry for what was about to happen to them. Their lives were about to take a drastic turn for the worse. We arrived at the house, and the staff let me in because Ace was with me. Ethan and Marie came rushing down the stairs to see why I was there. However, their demeanor changed when they saw Ace's angry face. It was enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Despite their attempts to maintain a fake pleasant expression, their nervousness was evident. They greeted Ace, trying to mask their apprehension. Do I look like I'm here for lunch, Marie? Why on earth did you kick out your daughter-in-law, and what am I hearing about taking away my great-grandson from her? There was also something mentioned about a divorce. Care to explain that, Ethan? I don't know what you're talking about, Grandpa. Cecily left of her own accord. She said she doesn't want to be a mom or a wife anymore. We didn't do anything, Ethan replied hastily. That's right, Dad. Cecily walked away on her own, and now she's spreading lies about us. I always knew she wasn't a good fit for the family, and now you know what kind of a horrible woman she is, Marie chimed in, attempting to paint me as the villain. Their attempt to twist the narrative shocked me. For a moment, I feared Ace would believe them. Even Ethan and Marie seemed confident he would, but they were left flabbergasted by Ace's response. Do you think I don't know what goes on in this house? Do you think you can manipulate me with lies? Dad, we're not lying to you. Shut up right now. I don't want any filthy lies coming out of your mouth. Have you forgotten that this house is in my name? The staff here are on my salary, so they tell me everything that happens around here. Yes, I know everything that you two have tried to do. Did you really think I would let you off the hook so easily after you manipulated me and Cecily? I can't believe this, Grandpa. Please, you have to understand. I don't love Cecily. I only married her to make you happy, Ethan pleaded. Oh, don't worry. I know all about how you had planned to use and discard Cecily, but only married her because you didn't want to risk losing your inheritance. You think that was a noble thing to do, Ethan? Is that the values you uphold? I taught you. Perhaps it was your good-for-nothing mother who made you this way. Ethan tried to interject, but Ace shut him down immediately. Did I give you permission to talk, Marie? Ace's voice was sharp, cutting through the tension in the room. Marie and Ethan were now seriously scared, while Ace remained very, very angry. I couldn't help but enjoy watching them being scolded by Ace. It was glorious, but I knew it was just the start of the show. Ace continued to berate Ethan and Marie for a good hour, reducing them to tears. He reminded them that they were both at his mercy because they lived on his money. When he was done, Ethan was literally on his knees, begging for forgiveness, while Marie cried like a child. I'm so sorry, Grandpa. I can see that I made a big mistake. I was just overwhelmed and made the wrong decision, Ethan pleaded, his voice shaky with remorse. Yes, we're sorry, Dad. We truly recognize our mistakes. We shouldn't have separated a mother from her child. Cecily can move back here if she wants to. Yes, she can come back and we'll welcome her with open arms. I promise I will be a better husband too. I will work on myself. Things will go back to being perfect again, Ethan rambled, desperation evident in his tone. I don't think any of this is your decision to make. You two are no one to allow her back into the house because this house is mine. Plus, it's up to Cecily to decide if she wants to stay married to an imbecile like you, Ethan. What do you say, Cecily? Do you forgive them? Ace turned to me, awaiting my response. I knew well enough that if I said no, there would be dire consequences for my husband and mother-in-law. But I couldn't bring myself to say yes, knowing their remorse was only surface level. So, I calmly looked at Ace and said, no, I don't think I can forgive them, Grandpa. Plus, I haven't even asked for my forgiveness. Please forgive me, Cecily. We made a huge mistake, dear. We are family, so let's just look past this one time. I'm sure we will have a stronger bond after this, Ethan pleaded once more. Don't even bother with lies anymore, guys. You know what you two are. Even if you turn a new leaf and become nice to me, deep down, you two are awful people, and I don't associate myself with people like you, I replied firmly. Good decision, Cecily. I applaud you for that. So you heard her, Ethan, Marie. Looks like you two are in deep trouble, Ace concluded, his voice unwavering. Now you two need to vacate this house right now so that Cecily and my great-grandson can stay here, Ace declared firmly. What? You're kicking us out? You can't do that to us, Dad, Ethan protested. My staff has already started to pack your bags on my order. I will have you two thrown out just like you tried to throw out Cecily. Oh, and one other thing, you can kiss your allowances goodbye. I won't be wasting any more money on imbeciles, Ace retorted, his tone unyielding. Ethan and Marie absolutely cracked up when Ace made his decision. They begged and pleaded with him for mercy, even appealing to me for forgiveness, knowing that only I had the power to sway Grandpa Ace from his decision. But Ace remained resolute, keeping them in a state of despair with his relentless berating. Ultimately, the house staff arrived with their belongings, which Ace promptly threw at them, instructing them to leave. Seeing Ace so angry, they quickly departed before he could publicly make a scene by having his staff escort them out. I didn't know where Ethan and Marie went after this. What I do know is that they kept blowing up my phone with apologies and sometimes nasty messages. They desperately wanted to come home and make things better with Ace, but he was definitely not having it. They even tried to recruit family members who strictly denied them help because of Ace, leaving them to fend for themselves. Eventually, Ethan and I divorced and he lost custody of our son. I was happy because I didn't want his evil influence on my child. I was already living in the house I used to live in because Ace didn't want his great-grandson and me to be away from comfort. He actually ended up signing over the house to me, leaving most of his assets to my son in a trust so that he can access them when he's older. As for me, Ethan is stuck paying child support and alimony since he has a job. It's not much for me because Ace also gives me an allowance, but it is a lot for Ethan, who now has to support his mother and live on a small income.